Nanjing city is broken. The little devil is in town, fellow countrymen, unite quickly. That day, the streets were filled with angry protests and shouts. Connect the upper loop, on the 20th. There are a lot of people in town, noisy, they said. It's the Union University, in Beijing. A group of white and tender children, like the shopkeeper. This is what the parents who came to pick up the children told me. I know, the country is in chaos, the size of China. But there was nowhere to put a quiet desk, with students, and businessmen and workers. The war intensified, and the front kept retreating, although the international community has learned about Japan's terrorist acts. What about it? It's none of your business, not to mention, they're hard to save themselves. A few understated condemnations covered the blood-soaked city. This is a lonely war. In order to fight for a long time, all the production plants began to retreat. To conserve power, usually Celadon, do me a favor. I patted Tiger on the shoulder, handed him 2 letters, a letter to the school, 1 letter to the factory. Tiger grinned at me. Sister, guaranteed to complete the task. He is several years younger than me, getting along these days. I became a learned woman in his eyes. His sister shouted, not at all awkward. That night, the wind chime of the bookstore rang again. Crisp clash of porcelain tiles. A merchant in a cloak came in, with whisks of cold. Hello. I am the director of Xinli Arsenal. I received a letter from the bookstore. He took off his gloves. Politely extend your right hand. Is the shopkeeper still in the store? I want to talk to him in detail. I also extended my right hand. Hold him politely. A little smile. I am the principal. Boss of Pingon Bookstore. I wrote the letter, too. He showed some surprise, and quickly accepted the fact that the sender was a girl in her early 20s. He said there were a lot of manufacturing books, but really? He was eager to verify the contents of the letter. Can't wait to get to the point. I took him behind the bookshelf. There are books related to military industry that I stayed up late to sort out. There are 5 boxes. Early years. My father and I are doing business overseas. Bring back these books. Now the country is in trouble. I want to make a modest contribution. He didn't answer. I just jumped into the sea of books at the moment I saw it, flipping from one book to another. The previous elegance has long since disappeared. Instead of crying with joy, falling behind will be beaten. It's about ideas, also made. I say the truth that everyone knows in the 21st century. He held my hand tightly, nodding approval. He could see the importance of these books. At least 3 years of progress for the country's military industry. Every progress of ordnance. All represent less blood and sacrifice. Books have been erased by the system, time and names. He just thought it was the book I smuggled back. That night, the book left the bookstore. He rummaged through his pockets. Give me all the money you have. 0 and integer. No point left. I pushed the money back. I am a businessman. There is a lot of money. Only 1 thank you letter is missing. Why don't you send me a thank you note? Until the victory of the war of resistance against Japan, flowers bloom in spring. I send a thank you note. It's a proud family. He nodded and said yes. In the cold wind, fade into the night, towards the factory. After that day, machine roar. More advanced weapons are constantly put into the battlefield, in exchange for more lives. Later, United University is also here, a gray-haired headmaster, walking in the wind and snow, just for an unknown letter. A time of war, they rush thousands of miles carrying books. Know that books are precious. Treat books as your life. A trace of wisps are worth pursuing. He felt the page, muttering to himself, this is the hope of the country. He came early in the morning, toil and hardship. I treated him to a steamed, stuffed bun. He ate happily. Another half-month passed. There are more and more people in the store. They all know that there is a bookstore run by a woman, except for Zidouting in class. There are also workers, businessmen, and students. Wind chimes made of porcelain. Finally, it can ring from morning to night. The boss of the Brotherhood has become my friend, specially arranged for Huzi to help me look at the store. That night, Huzi told me excitedly, his brother who joined the army is back. He saw $3 silver at the door of his house. It's an agreement between my brother and him. He and I took the morning off. I want to catch up with my brother.